here with my new friend Jason at Just
Hello,
Basic
hello.
Keto. How you doing, Jason?
Oh, I'm not too bad for a Monday night, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it could
Yeah,
be worse.
yeah, yeah.
Could be
This
worse.
is true. This is true.
Yeah. I mean, it's been raining here all day today. I'm a teacher, if you didn't know that, Jason. So when the
Hmm.
kids are trapped inside and they can't get out to play and they're used to being able to do that, it is like not much fun.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
yeah. But other than that, it's been, pretty good for a Monday. So,
Yeah, our weather here's been pretty nice lately. The last few days have been, you know, above freezing and sunny. So
well, there you go. Yeah,
yeah,
that's you can't really ask for much more than that. I think you're in Canada, correct?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in Southern California, so we're not used to this rain, not even one little bit. Like everybody forgets
Mm.
how to drive. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and being willing to share your story with with my audience.
Of
I feel
course.
like
Yeah.
us carnivores and keto and all of that, it's all part of the proper human diet. So I'm excited to
Hmm.
have you on. And the only thing I really know about you is I think you've been keto for about 5 years, but I'd like to hear your story. Like what led up to that? What made you decide to go to this way of eating?
Yeah, sure. No, it's I had the fairly typical upbringing here in Canada. Played a lot of sports, hockey mostly, and soccer, and I was uh, competitive in judo for most of my childhood until I was about 18. So, you know,
Mm.
f- physical fitness wasn't really an issue uh, until later in my 20s, I guess. I guess I fell into that trapping of you know uh, a young adult, more interested in going out and having fun and you know drinking too much beer and eating all the wrong foods and I guess it you know for most of my 20s and early 30s, I guess it didn't really catch up with me too bad. But then obviously, over the years, things start to catch up and, you start getting some of those, I always thought I had knee and back problems because of my, sports involvement when I was younger.
Mm.
Um, Now, obviously, to realize that came around more because of inflammation than it did with actual injuries. But yeah, so I got into my 40s. Was having a lot of digestive issues that I couldn't really figure out. And then by trial and error, it sort of led to going gluten free pretty much completely, which helped a little bit with the way I felt. But the problem was, is I was gaining weight a lot quicker uh, once I went gluten free because you're eating a lot of, the rice and potatoes, and you've replaced all the wheat and the pasta and everything with different greens. And then, as we know now, that's, when you're eating the high carb grains and all that with,
Mhm.
higher fat. I've always been, always eaten meat and all that. But if you're combining the carbs and the fat, then, it's just going to pack it on pretty quickly. So,
Yeah.
so, and like I say, it's one of those things where as you get older, every year you're going to put on 3, 4, 5 pounds kind of thing. And basically found myself by the time I was, 48, I was about 80 pounds overweight, or at least that's what I sort of figured it to be. I was around 280 pounds. So I wasn't, I I'm thankful every day that it didn't get any worse than that. Um, but it was more the pain that I was having. And I guess sort of what the tipping point was when my grandson, or my first grandson, was born in 2017. At first, keeping up with him was pretty easy until he became mobile, and you had to try and he always wanted to play, and you got to do this, got to do that, and I just couldn't do it. It was just way too much pain, and so I figured, well, I got to do something. I had tried in the past just doing regular dieting, low calorie exercise, all this, but and I could lose a little bit of weight, but it never really turned into anything sustainable. Um, and then it was at Boxing Day 2018. We went to a family gathering, and I got talking to one of my cousins, and she'd been apparently keto for a couple of years, because I hadn't seen her for a couple of years, and she'd been following keto for a couple of years and lost a lot of weight. So I was like, well, I'd seen it on YouTube. There's always things come across your feed. You don't really pay attention to them, but I'd seen a lot of stuff about keto around that time. So I figured the next day after that time talking to her, I went home and basically dove in as far as researching, and basically watched every Dr. Berg video and Thomas DeLauer and basically anyone else I could find. I think Goody Beats was around back then as well. So I researched as much as I could until January 1st, 2019, and that's basically when I dove in and started the journey, and lost the 80 pounds that I wanted to lose in about a year, the day kind of thing. Stepped on a scale one day and saw 198. So I got under 200 pounds, and basically, more or less, that's the last time I ever even stepped on a scale. It's just gone away since then. And now I basically weigh what I feel best weighing, I guess, because even at that 198, I was probably didn't weigh enough. My body wasn't super happy with what I was doing at that time. So I would to guess, I'd probably say I'm back up around between 205 and 210 most days now. So,
okay.
But that's where it started. Yes, it's been just over 5 years now. So there's been ups and downs and sideways and changes on this and that, and learning over 5 years basically.
Yeah, I'm coming up. So I went keto in February of 2023. So we're basically looking at 1 year, since we're now February 2024, if you count the keto part of my, proper human diet way of eating. I always tell people on my channel, I kind of went carnivore accidentally, because it was like I just didn't feel like making the broccoli or whatever. Like I was just lazy, and I'll just go with the ribeye. And then, I was still watching, Dr. Barry and those guys. I'm like, oh, carnivore's a thing. And I kind of think I'm that now. And then, my mental health started improving. And so I just kind of stuck with it. But I did start keto basically a year ago. So I'm only a year in. I think I can, I was excited to talk to you because I know you had said, 5 years for you. And so I kind of wanted to talk to you about that. Like, how did you start? And then how has that sort of changed over time? Like a typical day of eating, like at the beginning versus what you're doing now.
Yeah, I guess it was the way I started was sort of the same way. I think a lot of people start in it with keto. Like ultimately, I just one day to the next cut out eating all the grains and the sugars, basically, and that's where the first couple of months came. That's how they landed. So it was mostly just any kind of protein, beef, chicken, pork, fish, didn't matter what it was, kind of thing. Ultimately, I didn't really even pay attention to macros or any of that. I just watched the carbs, made sure that I was getting enough calories in each day, kind of thing. And then, so that was the way it started. I did fall into the trap sort of thing of getting into all the keto baked goods and, all these replacement things, mug cakes and breads and all this stuff, like I'd never baked a thing in my life. And all of a sudden I was making cookies and bread and cakes. I think it was the first Thanksgiving that year. I actually made a keto crust for like a pumpkin pie. So I made a keto pumpkin pie. Like that's just not something I do, right? Like, but that's sort of the trap I fell into in the
Mm-hmm.
first year. I think was trying to find the replacement for everything I was missing, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it still worked, like I still lost the weight. I still felt a lot better. But I think that only works for so long. Then you need to, then unfortunately, a lot of people have probably experienced this where it's, you can get by and get some results that way, but you also have to, realize that sooner or later you need to clean it up. Because I think the first year was all sort of on a downward trajectory for the weight, but then it started going back up again. And I realized that was because of like the keto treats and
Mm.
everything that I was having. So, the second year was a little rough, but then, starting after that, I started focusing more on, just eating whole foods, cleaning up the stuff that I was making. Of course, that's sort of around the same time I started my YouTube channel too.
Mm.
So uh, I did do some, I did a lot of fat bomb recipes when I first started my YouTube channel.
Same. Oh
So
no. Oh well, when I
yeah,
first started keto, for sure, because I thought
hmm
like that was like a keto thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
Gotta have those.
yeah. So and that was a big part of that sort of time period. But sort of in the last year and a half kind of thing, I've sort of just leveled off, and I'm 95% carnivore, I guess you could say. I
Okay.
still like, even tonight with supper, I had, I do fine with things like peas, um, and any green vegetables kind of thing. Like I don't have any issue with eating those. So once in a while I'll have that with, we had chicken tonight, and
Hmm.
so chicken and green peas, and then I have kimchi with my evening meal every night, just to help with my gut health. But yeah, that's pretty much where we stand today. It's either you know mostly, I do a lot of ground beef, a lot of hamburgers, steaks, stuff like that, just to keep it easy, because I think that's the easiest way to stay on plan.
Yeah, it's super easy. You said the magic word, which for me is kimchi, because
Hmm.
that's one of the things I'm looking to possibly introduce is some fermented foods. I
Hmm.
started sprinting back in September when I watched Dr. Sean O'Mara, and I don't know if any of you out there has watched Dr. Sean, but he's big into sprinting, number one, and carnivore, but with fermented foods. And
Hmm.
I've always liked kimchi, but I've just struggled to find one that's clean that doesn't have
Hmm.
like sugar. Where are you able to find, or do you just eat it with a little sugar in there, or have you found a clean one?
Yeah, I've luckily there is a couple of stores here local to me. They're not chain stores or anything,
Okay.
but they're more health focused. Like they have a great big huge kimchi and kefir section in it. Basically, they do like some of the kimchi and like some of the kimchi sauerkraut, and some of them do have added sugar in them. But I
Hmm.
have been able to find a couple that are, you know, obviously they have carbs in them,
Right.
because of the vegetables and all that, but they don't have added sugar. So I don't worry about um, the carbs that I'm getting from the kimchi, because to be honest with you, like it hasn't 100% fixed any of the issues I had, but it is like night and day since I started incorporating that in my diet.
Okay, so yeah, like with the gut health and things like that, you are
Hmm.
thinking, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always liked kimchi, and Dr. Omara talks about that. I saw him on with Dante Frigno just a couple hours ago. I was like, oh my gosh, there he is doing an interview, and yeah, he was going on again about fermented foods, and he gave his
Hmm.
source, but they didn't like really sell online. So I'm like, I mean, I'm like, dang it. So I'm still trying to find a source where I can get some kimchi that doesn't have, the added sugar. So I'm pretty sure 22 QK. I popped your question up because as he was talking, I'm pretty sure he was answering that. So I guess he buys
Yeah.
it at a little local place. I mean, I'm in Southern California. There's got to be a health food store around here somewhere that, that carries it. I just need to look a little harder, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Like I have thought about making my own. Um, Again, it's just one of those things where at this point, I'm still sort of in the, you know, uh, testing phase of it. I started eating it 3 months ago, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But it's still an ongoing thing.
Right.
Eventually I'd like to get into making my own kimchi, and I'd like to try making things like the El Rudery uh, yogurt,
Hmm.
and even kefir. But at this point, it's just easier for me to buy it. Plus, the stuff that I buy is really good. It's not super expensive. I don't find. I buy two different kinds and I switch them up. So it's two different companies. So
Okay.
they'll have different strains of bacteria in them. So I'll switch them up. One of them I have is super spicy too. Like it is like blow your head off spicy, which I ultimately like that. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never started doing carnivore because of digestive issues or like an autoimmune condition or anything like that. Like I said, it was just kind of accidentally, and then that's when my mental health, like my mental clarity, my sleep, my brain fog went away, my anxiety went away, and so I've just kind of continued steady on with just mostly BBB&E, beef, butter, bacon, and egg, with the occasional chicken and pork,
Hmm.
for a little variety. But yeah, I've just kind of wondered about adding the fermented veg back in because I mean, I started sprinting and I've loved that. So why not take his other advice, Dr. Omara, I'm referring to, and see if that helps. I do. I've just been curious about that to see what that might do or if it might help something.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm still on the fence.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things, though, that it's not a huge change uh, to a routine necessarily. I'm sure you would find out pretty quickly, uh, if your system can tolerate it, because some people, can't handle some of the vegetables if they're on a more meat heavy based diet, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, I've been all meat since June, so it's been a
mhm,
while.
sure, yeah. But yeah, the nice thing about uh, the fermented foods are just like a small portion with
Right.
the meal too, right? You're not eating it as like a side dish. I just pull out one forkful kind of thing,
Right.
um, and put it on the plate with my meal, and then that's basically all I eat.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, so we have a question in here. So, Tambury's asking, do either of you practice fasting? So
mhm.
I'll let you speak to that first.
Personally, now not as much. For probably the second and third year of my keto sort of journey, uh, I'll be the first one to admit that I fasted way too much. I was eating one meal a day, basically every day. Um, and ultimately, I didn't really feel all that good doing that. And I had really hard time getting the calories that I need in every day, because that's the problem. Is fasting is a great tool, in my
Hmm.
opinion anyways. Fasting's a great tool, but there is such a thing as doing too much. Again, just my opinion, in my experience with it, because I think a lot of people think they have to fast when in reality you don't have to actually fast. They can um, uh, get the same results by doing less, I think. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that I don't fast as much anymore. Quite often now, I'll have a meal in the morning, like a fairly good size pound of ground beef and 3 eggs kind of meal, uh,
Okay.
and then I'm good to go until my meal later in the day. And the nice thing is that by the time I have that meal later in the day, I'm not as hungry as I used to be.
Okay.
And it's easier for me to get my calories in. Now, that's not to say that I do that every day. There are still days where, you know, I won't eat anything until like afternoon during the day.
Hmm.
My biggest thing and what I try to do most often is make sure that I stop eating at a certain time. Like I try not to eat after, let's say, 8 p.m. Uh, at night, because one of my biggest focuses these days is sleep. So,
Mm.
and if I eat too late, then that really messes up with that. So, it's a bit of a long answer, but that's where I come down on with fasting.
Yeah, for me, I tried fasting, especially more in the beginning because you do hear a lot about that and the autophagy and the benefits. And I've just
Hmm.
never been very successful with it. I don't know if it's because I never had very much weight to lose. I think
Hmm.
I naturally sort of gravitate toward like a 16-8 kind of a window, where I'll eat, or maybe even a, 24 window,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
OMAD doesn't work. I get way too hungry. Like I'm miserable and I'm just like white knuckling it for me.
For
Um,
sure.
and then I think I've done like two 36-hour fasts. Oh, just miserable,
Hmm.
and then then I didn't fast for a long time. And then I tried again in
Yeah.
January. I tried to do a 48-hour, and I did it. I had a headache the whole time. I had no energy. It was just bad. I don't know if it's because my body's not efficient at using those reserves or what that might be. Cindy, let me know if that's better. I turned up my volume. If that's not better, I'll try a different setting. I have a new microphone, guys, and I'm not used to it. So let me know. Um, so anyway, I fasting has just never really been, it's just never, I wish I could do it because I want those benefits. I wish I could do the occasional 2-day fast here or there, but I'm just miserable. If I had
Hmm.
done that 2-day fast in January, fortunately I wasn't working because teachers have time off at Christmas. Um, but I wasn't teaching. If I was teaching, I would have just had to eat because I just really had no energy.
Sure.
So maybe I could try again in the future. So yeah, Deb can't hear me either. Okay, let me try. Sorry guys, let me try one setting. Okay, let me know if that's any better.
Yeah, it's louder.
Is that louder? Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
hopefully they're gonna be able to hear me now. Sorry guys,
Hmm.
this is my brand new microphone. I'm getting used to it. So anyway, so that's basically my answer on fasting. I just start to feel miserable and very lethargic and headachy and just not worth it to me. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty much the same with it too. It is one of those things where, you know, a little bit is great, but more doesn't always mean better. You know what I mean? Like it has a point of diminishing returns as far as I'm concerned. So, it's a great tool. I'm all for people that do, like Dustin from Keto Simple.
yeah.
Once or twice a year, he does his 7-day fast and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like, all the power to him. There's no way I could do it, but if you can and it helps reset things, then by all
Yeah.
means.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were trying to fast and you said you over fasted, was that due to just like trying to lose more weight? Was it like a weight loss thing or were you trying to go for the autophagy or what was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily I was even fasting with a purpose. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was more just what wound up happening every day. Because
Okay.
the one thing I find with the problem with me is I've never been someone to eat in the morning before I go to work kind of thing. And the problem with that is that with my job, a lot of the times I'm not able to sort of break away and sit down and have like a lunch during the day. So I wind up finding myself just working straight through. And by the time I get home, if I haven't eaten during the day, I get really hungry, and what I found is that is when I start snacking on stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's obviously one thing that, we should all try to eliminate it out of our lives as much as possible. But
Yeah.
so yeah, adding in that meal earlier in the day has, I've found it really helped balance my hunger during the day. And like, again, I don't weigh myself, but I can almost say that adding that second meal in helped me lean out a little bit instead of
Okay.
gorging myself once a day kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I when I don't eat breakfast and I try to make it all the way to lunch, which for us at my school is at 11:45, well, like I'm starving and I'm miserable and I'm trying to teach math and I you know what I'm saying? It's like, why am I
mm-hmm.
doing this to myself? Just eat some eggs before work or whatever, instead of trying to go in and like force myself to wait. So I
Sure.
anymore if I'm hungry in the morning, I have some eggs and it's much better. Like my day just goes more smoothly. I'm happy I can
Hmm.
teach. I'm not like, okay, when's lunch? Is it lunch now? How about now? How many more hours to lunch now? Okay, 3 more hours now, countdown to lunch. And that's all I'm
Yeah.
thinking about. And I don't like to feel that way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um
I agree.
all right, we have another question from Darth Carnivore, and it's for you, Jason. So,
Hmm.
Jason, you mentioned being 5 years keto. Do you ever eat off plan? Or if not, how do you stay on plan amid all the non keto temptations?
Yeah. That's the $1 million question, isn't it? The short answer is no, I don't eat off plan. But that's because of the way I am. I'm not a moderator. I'm an abstainer, and I've had to sort of come to that realization. If I was to sort of go off plan, even if it was planned, like even if I said, okay, well, this time for this party or whatever, I'm going to eat whatever there is. First of all, I'd probably feel like crap, which I don't, I know how bad I felt in the past now that I feel good. So I don't want to go back there. But the bigger problem is that I'm not mentally, I can't stop things like that. Okay, I may go back on plan tomorrow, but then what happens is 3 weeks from now, I'm going to think, hey, well, I had that cheat meal, you know, and I didn't really go off the rails and I didn't feel too bad. So maybe I could do it again, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, well, so that to me, what happens is it just snowballs and I uh, can't get away for it. So I've had to, like I say, I've had to admit to myself that I'm not the kind of person that can handle doing that. As far as the actual, temptations, you're right. Like, especially we just went through, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, like the season of temptation. It's just a matter of, to me, it's a matter of finding those uh, ways to minimize the temptation. Like if I'm going out to, say we're going out to a party, like even a New Year's Eve party or friends and family, like whatever, or family, a lot of the times what I do is make sure that I'll typically have like a really big late lunch before the function or the party that's going on,
Okay.
just to make sure that I'm not going to these parties hungry, right? If
Hmm.
you can make sure that you're satiated before you go, like I'll cook up 4 big burgers with cheese and fried eggs, and like I'll eat that later in the afternoon kind of thing, so that when I go to the party or the gathering or whatever, then I'm not tempted as much to eat what's there. Again, it's little tools like that. Taking things like if it's a potluck or whatever, just make sure you take something that's, something that you can eat and you're comfortable with having. And then, luckily, 9 times out of 10, you go to a potluck or something, there's always some sort of meat dish you can have. So you just go back for seconds or thirds of that, and then that's how I sort of deal with it, anyways.
Yeah, I sort of do the same depending on the situation. So I've actually had a couple weddings recently that I've gone to, which is like super rare for me anymore, but it was weird. It was like two weddings and just with like in a couple of months of each other. So for those, I just asked, and one of them, it was like there was going to be nothing. So I just ate a bunch of picanha, before I went.
Mm-hmm.
I felt great. We ended up staying longer, and there was like activities, like it was at a tennis club, and they like let you play like pickleball. So I was playing pickleball. I got all active. So afterwards, we stopped by McDonald's, and I got some burger patties because I was like, we got a two
Mm-hmm.
and a half hour drive home, But I mean, it
Sure.
worked out fine, and I mean, everyone else ate, and I just socialized. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
The other wedding, I kind of did the same thing, and then they ended up having prime rib, and my friend was like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know there was going to be prime rib. If I'd known that, I would have told you." So I missed out
Yeah.
on the prime rib, you guys. But I mean, it was so again, same thing. I just, sipped on some water and chatted with everybody, and it was fine. And other times, if it's a family gathering, even if it isn't a potluck, I'll ask if I can bring something. Mainly on my husband's side, my mom is keto too, Jason. And so when we do something on my side of the family, it's always going to be a lot of meat or a charcuterie. There's going to be something for me there since my mom and I eat in such a similar manner. But yeah, if it's like my husband's side, I'll offer to bring something, so that there's definitely something for me. And most recently, my son. So my son is on, I don't even know, I think day 8. He
Mm-hmm.
agreed to eat more like his mom for at least 30 days to try to help his ADHD symptoms. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, he's finding some success. Oh, this is funny. Yes, purse steak, they're
For
carnivore. No,
steak. Yeah.
purse picanha is what I brought last
Mm-hmm.
time I went to my in-laws' house. I for sure brought a whole picanha because she was gonna serve ham, but it was like honey baked ham, and I didn't want to eat that. So I'm like, how about
Mm-hmm.
if I bring a picanha? She said, what's picanha? And I said, let me show you. So
Sure.
yes,
Yeah.
purse steak, absolutely. Um, so anyway, we went over to my husband's parents just yesterday to celebrate some birthdays, and she was gonna make like chocolate cake and ice cream, which obviously I'm not gonna have, and now my son either. And so I just brought a little like heavy cream. I made him a little whipped cream. He just had a couple of bites of that. He was happy. He didn't feel left out of the whole dessert situation. And he was good. And other than that, she made tri-tip and she made him a burger patty. And, you know, he
Mm-hmm.
wishes he would have had the tri-tip first. He's like, I started on the burger patty, now I'm full. He didn't have room for any
Yeah.
tri-tip. But at any rate, I mean, it worked out. So yeah, there's always ways around it. BK says my wedding will be steak it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of the same as you. I really don't stray off plan. I don't have a desire to, and I know that if I did, it would definitely lead me, down that path. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Over the holidays, my aunt did bring, it was like a keto cheesecake. So if you want to say I cheated on carnivore with a keto cheesecake, I'm good with it. Like I don't consider that really a cheat. I'm not like dogmatic, right, about what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. And she very nicely made that, so that my mom and I would have something and could feel included. And so I didn't eat the crust. I just ate the middle. And so there's some sweet, I don't even know. I think she used swerve or whatever. So the only non-carnivore thing in it that I ate was the swerve. And yeah, I was fine with that. It didn't bother me at all. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, mainly, like I said, it's beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for me. And um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really stray because I don't want to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when other people are eating, like when they were eating that ice cream and cake in front of me yesterday, it's fine. Like it's not tempting to me anymore. As long as I leave the switch off, it kind of stays off.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. When I was eating more keto, my problem was with like nuts and things like that. And so giving that up totally has made me like, there's a thing of nuts still in my pantry from when I used to eat them, and I don't even think about them until I see them and go, oh, I should really give those away or get rid
Yeah.
of them, because I just don't. But when I was eating them every day, it was like, ooh, those are in there, and now let's get a handful, and now let's get another one. And yeah,
Hmm.
it was for sure super easy to overdo those for me.
Yeah.
So
The easy temptations are the ones that get you all the time. Um,
yeah.
like the nuts and like anything that's easy to get to and snack on is even if you have I found like not so much anymore, but back when I made treats and baked goods and stuff like that, I would usually portion them out and then freeze it because it doesn't make it as sort of grab and go as
Hmm.
when it's frozen, it's a little harder to eat kind of thing. But you know, cheat meals too are again, I'm this is just my sort of experience with them and how I've had to handle it. I know lots of people that can uh, they can have those off-plan meals. They can for their birthday every year, or if they're going on vacation, and it all depends on the person that you are, right? Like some people can say to themselves, okay, we're going on vacation and I may not hold back when we're, you know, having dinner somewhere in a different part of the world or whatever. And, that they're all right with that. And that some people, I think, actually survive easier that way because it sort of takes away some of the mental stress that can go along with trying to avoid these things all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not sure if I know any moderators, but I've heard people talk about moderate, that they're able to do that,
Yeah.
or they know people that are able to do that. And I mean, if people are able to do that, good for them, right? I'm all about like what
Hmm.
if it works for you, great. But yeah,
Hmm.
doesn't work for me. So
For sure.
22 Q Cat said earlier, and now Jason is the Choffle King. So I saved this comment because I wanted to talk to you about Choffles, because you have a whole bunch of videos about that. And I'm hoping now that
Hmm.
my son, it's probably not something that I would include just because I'm happy with my steak and my whatever. But
Hmm.
I'm trying to do things for my son now, right? So it's like I made him some protein pancakes with the Equip Prime Protein, and some eggs
Hmm.
and stuff in there. And they turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you can make waffles out of those too, but I wanted to
Hmm.
like pick your brain a little bit about chaffles. Like, do you have like I don't know, give me like your best like savory chaffle, and do you have any like sweet ones?
Yeah, I've done, the whole gamut of different chaffles, like obviously from just cheese and egg. The one I did last week was just two eggs and four different kinds of cheese, right? Just
Ooh,
mix them
okay.
all up, cook them up, and like the nice thing I find with chaffles is they're a blank slate. You can basically throw whatever you want in it. Basically, like if you like to eat it within reason, most things will work in a chaffle.
Okay.
Like I've done uh, on my channel. The weirdest thing is the second most viewed video on my channel is uh, peanut butter and chocolate chip chaffles.
Okay.
Did that video 2.5 years ago, kind of thing, and then it just blew up for some reason. It wasn't a
Yeah.
good it wasn't a good video. It's just one of those things where YouTube, and it's one of those evergreen videos nowadays too, where it just gets views every day. So
That's cool.
it keeps climbing. But
Mhm.
so I've done those kind of chaffles. You can do steak, chicken, bacon is great in chaffles.
Ooh,
Obviously,
yeah.
bacon's
Mhm.
good in everything.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've found recently with a lot of them that I do, one of my favorite ways to do them now is with, you know, egg, shredded cheese, something like bacon, but then I add in uh, pieces or like chunks of cream cheese too. And then those chunks of cream cheese turn into these nice little warm pockets of cream cheese when you're
Mm.
finished making them. So uh,
Okay.
So I've done
Good
all,
tips.
like I've done everything from, you know, ham and cheese and steak and chicken. Like I've made up hot wings, like buffalo chicken wings, and I put those into chaffles. And I've done some sweet ones. Again, I've done the peanut butter chocolate chip ones.
Hmm.
I made some out of the butterscotch keto chow. Uh,
Okay.
those worked out pretty good too. And then I think it was during my 12 days of chaffles thing at Christmas, I did a cinnamon sugar chaffle. So it was just
Mm.
cinnamon with swerve brown sugar sweetener. And
Okay.
those turned out really good as well. So like I say, it's kind of one of those things where, you know, eat, yeah, I've chopped up sardines and put them in a chaffle before.
I saw that. I was like, yeah, not
Yeah.
for me. I
Yeah.
can't do the
And
peanut butter either because my other son is allergic to peanuts, and we're
mm,
talking like the like EpiPen level
sure. Yeah.
alert.
Right.
But it's I don't do a lot of sweet thing. I just don't do sweet
Hmm.
really anymore. But like for my son, he's just doing this and I want it to be something sustainable that he can keep up with. So I don't want to take plus he's 15, he's metabolically healthy, right? This is just like trying to
Hmm.
get his ADHD a little calmer. Um
Sure.
and so we're just kind of
They-
doing that. So I thought I'd pick your brain a little bit. I'm thinking
mhm.
of getting a couple of those dash minis and
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that
they make really good like burger buns, right? So
yes.
if you're gonna have burgers for supper, you whip up a couple of just basic egg and cheese chaffles, and there you go. You have like really good burger buns that you can have if you're missing, having something as part of your burger. If you're, personally, I don't care. I just eat, meat burgers without the bun. Uh,
Right.
but it is nice, it's a nice replacement for sure.
That's funny. Only my opinion, Tech. I don't
Yeah.
like sardines and not that way either, but you're like, I like
Yeah.
sardines, but yeah, maybe not that way in a
Mhm.
chaffle. That's funny.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
again, I'm willing to put almost anything in a chaffle. So
yeah,
that's what the sacrifice I'm willing to make for the channel. They don't
I
all
love it.
turn out. So
They don't always turn out. And
nope.
what is that? One person's trash is another person's treasure. Who knows? Somebody might
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, for sure.
um, so I have a question about the bacon chaffles before we get off the chaffles. I'm assuming the answer is yes, but do you cook the bacon first
Yeah.
before you put, yeah, and then you put it cooked
Mhm.
in with the chaffle batter? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something I really need to try, I'm doing a lot of things that I don't do for myself, like
Hmm.
the protein pancakes and things like that, for him, just to sort
Hmm.
of get him acclimated and so that I don't want it to be like a bad experience so that he's like, yeah, my 30 days are done and then now I'm done. Like my
Hmm.
hope is that after 30 days he's going to keep going. And so
Sure.
I want it to be an enjoyable experience. So yeah, the chaffles are one thing that is clearly a big part of your channel. I think that's awesome. I think that's how I discovered you actually is the 12 days of chaffles. I was like, oh, this is
Mhm.
interesting. And that's how I found you. And then I started seeing you, in lives and chats and things like that too. So I noticed also on your channel you do a proper human diet podcast. So I'm
Mhm.
interested in that, like why you started that and who you interview and what that's all about.
Yeah, like ultimately the reason I started YouTube in the first place, which was basically just right around 3 years ago, as of now. Um,
Okay.
I was on Instagram before that, um, for a year and a half or something after I started keto, and back then it was a lot easier to build a following on Instagram than it is today, just by
Mhm.
posting pictures, kind of thing. So I had 5,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should start a YouTube channel and start sharing my story, and trying to help people that want to start keto. Like I wish I had started it when I started keto, so I could sort of
Mm.
give like live. updates with my journey. But you say I was 2 years into keto before I even started YouTube. So um, the podcast basically came about just as I wasn't really very good at making videos, but I don't have trouble doing this where I can talk one-on-one with someone. So I always started, or what I started with was people I got to know on Instagram that were willing to come on YouTube, and I would just record the interview with StreamYard and then just upload it as a recorded video. And then as time went on and, things got easier to do, like premieres and stuff like that, it shifted more to YouTube creators that are in this space after a while. Like Cindy, who's in the chat here tonight. I've had her on my channel.
I love Cindy.
Yep.
She's been on my channel too. Chaffles are amazing, Cindy. Yep. Hi, Cindy.
Yeah. Cindy's so great. I think it's close. It's getting close to 30 episodes now I have on there.
All right.
I haven't done any other ones recently, but it's basically like I just do it to do this, to get other people's stories out there, just to see who we can help, basically.
Yeah, that's the same as me. I started my channel because, I've been doing this way of eating now for a year. And, I never really had a lot of weight to lose. And actually recently I've put on a little weight, but like it's a little bit bothering me, but like the other benefits, like my inflammation being gone and all of that are so amazing. And I don't have the 85-pound weight loss, the before and afters, that none of that, because I only ever lost 20 pounds and I probably put back on, I don't know, 15 of that. Because I'm just hungry and whatever. I'm like, my body's probably trying to heal something. I'm trying to just relax and just, go with the flow, go along for the ride and see what my body's doing here. But I'm feeling great. I have so much more energy. I'm a better mom, at 48. I have more energy than I did in my 20s. And so I felt like I needed to like tell people about that, right? Like you don't just have to go downhill. You don't just turn 40 and then just go downhill. You don't have to go that route. There's another way. So yeah, kind of the same as you. I wanted to get that out there. Just so people would hear about it and know about it and hear about my experience, and hopefully it's, helping somebody else. So I wanted to also ask you about exercise. Do you do any exercise? Was there a point where you didn't and then did, or how does that go?
Specifically, not sort of any kind of planned exercise.
Okay.
I'm lucky that my job is I'm on the go all day long at my job. A lot of walking, a lot of climbing ladders, a lot of physical work that I do every day. Basically, like I don't sit at a desk. I'm not, for 8-9 hours a day, I'm basically on the move. And, when I'm at home during the week, it's not as active as I'd maybe like it to be, but like on weekends, especially during the summer, there's a lot of, and in the winter here too, in Ontario, Canada, there's a lot of snow to shovel usually. Hasn't been this year, but usually there's something to do. And then in the summer, I'm always building things in the yard or, doing yard work. So I'd like to get into something more structured, as far as even getting into something like resistance training, like just with bands and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's just one of those things where I have to, come up with a plan, and I don't want to just wing it. I want to find a good plan that I can just get into and start doing as a routine kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Only my opinion tech says moving at work is exercise. 100%. 100%. Yeah. If you have a physical job, it's 100% exercise. But yeah, if that's what you want to do, Jason, can I recommend that you interview Coach Bronson? Because I interviewed Coach Bronson and now I'm lifting weights. That's just going to be the natural outcome of that interview. Can I just say?
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. So anyway, it's great though. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting stronger. I'm adding more weight as I'm going, and
Hmm.
it's pretty incredible. I've never done that, intentionally like that before with like goals and adding weight and adding reps, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
So Cindy is asking, how are you feeling, Jason? I don't know. Have you been under the weather? She's
Yeah,
asking how
I
you're
was sick.
feeling.
I was sick last week, so
Mm.
I still, you know, still not 100%, but I feel because I was on Cindy's channel there, or
Ah,
and I was on with her on Friday, and it was kind of touch and go that day, but yeah, I
yeah.
feel better today. So,
Well, that's
it's just
good.
one of those things, especially when we look after our grandkids almost
Yeah.
every other weekend. You just never know what's coming through the door with those kids. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a teacher, so I think I've been exposed to every germ known to man at
mhm.
least 20 times.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I have a pretty good immune system, and I feel like it's only gotten better since
hmm,
this way of eating. But yeah, just by virtue of being exposed to all the things.
hmm,
I mean, when I first started teaching, I got sick several times a year, and
right.
now it's super rare for me. Okay, so sorry to pull you back into the truffle conversation, but we do have a question. So have truffles been made with beef or chicken flour before?
I'm sure they have. Like there's lots of you can buy the beef and chicken flour from, who is it, Carnivore Crisp that has
Carnivore
that?
Crisp
No,
has it. Mm-hmm.
or you can make your own. There's quite a few. I think Joe and Rachel at Two Crazy Ketos have uh, videos on how to make your own flour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it's a thing. It's not something I've personally done. I have made them using uh, pork rinds, like chicharrones. So
Yeah.
you just blend them up into a powder and you add them in. Gives it more of a like a chewy bread kind of texture than like straight egg and cheese. Well, it's not eggy. It's kind of you know there's not a ton of structure to them.
Okay. Yeah, I
So,
enjoy using the pork rind crumbs. I just buy the porking good ones because
hmm,
again, like I do make my own bone broth. That's like the one thing I do. Like everything else, if I'm going to use it, I'm probably going to need to buy it because I'm just so busy.
hmm,
But yes, I use those to do like, to bind like meatballs or meatloaf, something like that. And then I've actually made like a little carnivore muffin with pork rinds and an egg and a little butter. Um,
hmm,
yeah, and it makes like a little muffin that I'll sometimes have with my bacon and eggs in the morning. Super
sure.
occasionally, but yeah, it's really good. So I
Hmm.
could see how that would I could see how that would help. It'd be interesting to get that. That's something I haven't bought, Darth Carnivore, is the beef or chicken flour. I did just order my first carnivore crisps. I don't have them yet.
Hmm.
Again, for my son, something I wouldn't do for myself, but for my son, I'm like, okay, maybe he would like these, to take in
Sure.
his lunch or the school
Yeah,
function or whatever, just easy to take along with him when he's doing stuff.
for sure. Yeah, I ordered them once. I ordered one of their bundles and tried them out. They were good. I didn't find them, like I say, they're good. I don't see them being good enough for the price
Yeah.
personally, but that's just,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I wanted to try them though, just
Yeah.
to see how they were.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe he'll like them, maybe he won't, but it's like I said, I'm kind of throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this, because
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I mean, I've been working on him since November, like
Hmm.
slowly working on him, and then I just got him to like agree to this. So it's like, all right, so like I said, I'm just doing, hey, try this, try this, try this, just to
Sure.
see that,
Yeah.
give him options, things that he's gonna like. Um, so have you ever made any kind of ice cream, Jason? I don't see any on your
Mate,
channel, but
yeah, yeah.
no? Okay,
I've,
I'm trying to come up with something for him.
sure.
I've
Uh,
had two epic
yeah.
fails. My Ninja Creamy just keeps making butter, you guys. It just keeps turning it into butter. I'm like, this is getting expensive.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
ice
not making
cream's
ice
ice
cream.
cream's not one of the things I've ever, I have gotten some of the keto ice creams that you can buy
Yeah.
from the store, and they're they are what they are. They're all right. Personally, it's one of those things where I can eat cheese all day long, and for the most part, I can handle it. But dairy is just not really my friend overall. Like there's no way I could eat or I can't drink straight dairy. Even with kefir, I have to go with like a goat's milk kefir. I can't use
Mm-hmm.
cow's milk because I can't handle it. So
Okay.
it's ice cream's just never really been one of my go-to kind of snacks.
Yeah, and this isn't for me. Again, I keep
Hmm.
sweet taste to a minimum. This is because when I said, "Would you try this for 30 days?" His
Hmm.
response was to think about it and then come back at me with, "Yes, but ice cream is going to be the hardest thing to quit." And I'm like, "You are not
Sure.
wrong, sir." So, what can we do instead? You know what I'm saying? And so I tried like
Hmm.
Dr. Kilt's ice cream, but when I tried it in the Ninja Cream, like I said, it just made butter. Yeah. Anyways, I'm working on it, you guys. I know keto chow. I know Cindy. Cindy says, I know, Cindy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try at this point because yes, I spent so much on heavy cream that I've just ended up throwing away because it didn't make ice cream.
Hmm.
You're right. I should have just bought the keto chow and done it out of that.
Hmm.
And 22 Q Cat agrees. So
Yeah.
maybe I will give that a try. Okay. So Mike, I'm assuming this is for me asking because I'm talking about my son. No, his name is Zach, not Luke.
Mm.
But hi, Mike. Welcome in. Nice to see you. So speaking of Mike, I just made this banner. I have to put this up because I just got channel memberships. I don't know if you have those yet, but yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of my members on my channel. Thanks everyone for that joined my channel. I do appreciate you. This YouTube thing just takes a lot of work, so anytime you guys can support what I'm doing, what Jason is doing, I'm sure he appreciates. I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, Jason, but I'm very sure he appreciates it too. So
Sure.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I have memberships on my channel as well. Still trying to work out the details for perks and stuff like that. And I have 6 members right now. They were
Nice.
all gifted memberships in the first couple of weeks, kind of thing. So, but
Yeah.
it's a start, right? So,
It's totally a start. I gifted
yeah.
5, but other people joined me. Like it was just very like I'm just honored that for people that, paid to join my channel. I gave a few out. I will be doing a
Mhm.
members only live stream with Ellie at Nourishment Redacted. She just got memberships too. So we're gonna tag team it on the members only live stream. So I believe that's coming up February 16th. So if you're a member of my channel, look out for that. So BK
Sure.
is giving me some ice cream advice. I make my own ice cream, no sugar. I use full milk, full cream, 2 eggs, and a spoon of 100% cacao, stevia, and a little honey. Okay, thanks, BK. I think the problem is I've just because Kiltz's ice cream just has the heavy cream, it has no milk, and then that Ninja Creamy just like and it just turned it into butter. It did not turn it into ice cream. He was so
Sure.
disappointed, you guys. It was so sad. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And then I tried again with a slightly different recipe and it turned it into butter too. But he wasn't as disappointed because he figured that would probably happen. Oh my goodness. Um Oh, okay. The question was for Darth Carnivore, not for
Yeah.
me. Because Luke, I am your father. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So have you done any meetups? Because Darth Carnivore is saying I met some keto carnivores at a local meetup recently, met Cindy and Dustin. My 8-year-old daughter was super impressed. I met actual YouTubers. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Have you done any
Yeah.
meetups yet, Jason?
I just Keto Palooza last year, uh,
Okay.
last October. So I went down. We went down a day early, kind of thing, and I stopped in Indianapolis there overnight and met up with Dustin and his wife. We went out for dinner and then spent the weekend at Keto Palooza. Met a whole bunch of people. It's definitely fun to interact with just a whole room full of people that are, basically on the same journey you are. So
Yeah, do you find like I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but like the keto carnivore proper human diet community, like what's your opinion on that? I find it to be super uplifting, and I'm really glad I
Hmm.
found this space and started my channel because I find that most people in here are just super supportive and kind and helpful and all of
Hmm.
that good stuff. How about you?
Yeah, yeah. I've had the same experience. Keto Palooza is kind of a. It's not a. It's like a family gathering, basically, with all the same people, like with people in the same sort of space that you are. Some people are new at keto. Some people are like been doing it for years. Um, but overall, I there was nothing but positive vibes at that gathering. I think there's some other ones like KetoCon,
Mhm.
whatever they want to call it now, that are probably not so much sort of family focused kind of thing. But it was, I really enjoy hanging out with the community. Like I was, uh, there's some of the people I see online all the time, hanging out with them, and eating keto chow fudge and just being, just hanging out. And we did a live stream from Keto Palooza the
Oh,
one
that's
night.
fun. Okay.
So
That's
it's
fun.
it's a lot of fun. It's quite the well, it's like a vacation for us because it's a full day of driving to get there for us. Uh,
Okay.
but it's we this will be our second year. I've already booked it, and we're going to still go down a day early to spend some time in Louisville, and then we spend a couple of days after the event doing other things, in Kentucky and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
it's just a mini vacation for us, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am going to hack your health by KetoCon this year. And maybe next year I'll do Keto Palooza. So yes, Cindy is not wrong. We are going to meet. Cindy, we have to make it a point, okay? But we're going to meet there. And yes, she's not lying. I will be playing hooky from school because it takes place before school gets out for summer, you guys. I checked. I have enough personal days. I can take the personal days, and we have a policy. It's like a don't ask, we don't have
Hmm.
to tell. So we can just take personal days. We don't have to tell what the reason is. We get a certain number of those. I think I used one this year, but I still have three left, which is exactly what I need for this event. So I'm super, super excited. I already have my ticket. I have a feeling I'm going to spend more time like meeting all my online friends like Cindy than actually listening to the speakers because the list keeps growing. I keep finding more and more people that are going to be in Austin.
Hmm.
So I'm super excited. Okay, we have one more question. It's from Dominic. So, what's your opinion on coconut flour? Because I'm carnivore, so I personally would not do coconut flour. But if someone is keto, and is that something that
Yeah,
you use?
I have in the past. Um, it's not. It was never my favorite sort of low carb flour to bake with, kind of thing, when I was doing that kind of stuff. I usually went with more almond flour when I was baking stuff, and even with coconut flour, a lot of the times, most of, like, if you're doing a recipe, usually it'll call for the bulk of it to be something like almond flour, and then it's just a little bit of coconut flour mixed in to try and give it a little bit different texture, kind of thing. Um, but again, I haven't baked anything with any kind of nut or plant flours for, I don't know, 3 years, 3.5 years. So it's just not something that I ever really get into anymore. I have kind of any kind of nuts and stuff like that cause inflammation for me too.
Mm.
So I just try and stay away from them as much as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like your journey was somewhat similar to mine in that you sort of started at one end of the spectrum and kind of went down more towards carnivore. Is that fair to
Hmm.
say? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that happened to me too, and I got rid of all the other, the nuts and things, and
Hmm.
personally, I just got rid of all the vegetables, like I said, out of sheer laziness, and then I realized how good I felt, and then it's like, well, why? I don't feel like I need to add them back in then if I'm feeling so, so good.
Hmm.
So That's personally
Sure.
why I, just continue on carnivore for now. Well,
Hmm.
we've been going at this for a little over an hour, and I don't see, any more questions. If you have any last minute questions, throw them in the chat. But if not, I just wanted to say thanks again to Jason. If you are not subscribed to his channel, please do. He's got a great channel, and I know my friend Jay was in here. He's a teacher too, Jason, and he was talking about how he needs more chaffle recipes for his son. So Jay, you will
Hmm.
not be steered wrong if you go to Jason's channel, because all the chaffles. He's really good at it, Jay. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm gonna do. You'll probably see a video on my channel soon, I'm sure. A chaffle video. It'll probably be a fail. It'll be hilarious. I'll try my
Well,
best.
it's, all we can do is try, right? Like
That's right. That's right.
I was, I was counting them up the other day because someone asked how many I had, and I think I'm sitting around like 43 or 44
Yeah,
recipe
yeah,
videos
there's
now. So
no shortage of variety there. So I'm
yeah.
excited to give them a try, but I know there can be some pitfalls of like overfilling or like
Hmm.
sticking, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I've never really
Yeah.
made even just waffles really before, because I don't really like
Mm,
waffles.
sure.
But anyways, yeah, something I want to give a try. So anyway, thank you so much, Jason, for your time. Thank you to
Hmm.
everyone for watching. And I'm sure we will catch you on another live stream soon. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.